Hey y'all, what's up? Big Wooly here, and welcome back to another episode of our Exosphere Community Edition Let's Play. So, in today's episode, we're actually going to chase down all of that EnderIO stuff that we had talked about, because even though we got the thing we needed for free from other quest rewards, I still want to learn more about EnderIO. So I hope you are willing to learn with me. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so I accepted the quest rewards from our just zippity-doo-dah breezing on through the Twilight Forest that was last episode, and we got two cool things. We got Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. If we hold right-click, you see how that affects? If there were mobs nearby, it'll like lightning on them. And then if it's raining out, you can summon lightning too with it, which is kind of cool. But it's going to go on the wall just like everything else. The other cool thing we got is something I have been seeing in the, JEI for like ways to get stuff the whole time, but now it's just here. This is a block from the Twilight Forest called the Uncrafting Table, and it allows us to, let's look up swords, for example, and see what we've got in here. Here's a night metal sword. So we should be able to put that in here, and it will break it down somehow. I don't know. Maybe it won't break down whole items. I'm not sure. I have no idea how this thing works. Maybe it needs a redstone signal. Maybe it needs full health items, would be my guess. So let's look at swords and see if we got enough of these to make one full health. All right, well, here's a full health ironwood sword. Let's see if it'll break it down. Okay, so it will. There we go. Does it cost me experience? Did that just cost me levels? No. Let's grab another one that's, higher tier. We don't want to do the ones that are enchanted, because in the next episode, we might get into that. So this says 2. So yes, it does use your levels, and it looks like it's indiscriminate. It just took 2 whole levels at level 50. Holy cow. That is so much experience, so much more than just 2 levels at level 2. So, yeah, put that thing near your experience crystal and just pull out the levels that it says you need as you're deconstructing things, because that was a super ripoff for 2 pieces of ironwood. But at least we have it now, because you cannot craft this block. The only way to get it is from the quest book and from completing the Twilight Forest. Which actually, you could probably complete the Twilight Forest a lot sooner than we did in the pack. So, that's not the end of the world or anything. We're going to stick it on the wall up there. That way it's right above our experience obelisk. Okay, back to EnderIO. So where we are is down here. The stuff that I really want to get into is all over here. I want to get into the Staff of Traveling, because that'll let us set up travel anchors and we can like zip around our base quicker. It's going to be fun. Oh, and this ugly little building I built is just a spot for all of our librarians and our stick traders, because, my kids playing on the server, and they've been wanting to come over here and do some trading with some of my villagers, and this just makes it easier for them to be able to interact with them. Cool thing to note is if you rename your villagers with an anvil, you can mouse over and you can see what each villager has based on what you name it, just in the tooltip up there. So don't have to go in here to know that this one's got Mystical Enlightenment 4, because I renamed him on an anvil. Still working on getting our enchanting setup all set up out here. I may end up moving our experience obelisk and stuff over here so that it's near the enchanting setup, and then got some books and emeralds and everything in a little barrel right here. Did a parquet floor with some, rainbow eucalyptus logs. And yeah, so did a little bit off camera in between episodes. And let's see. So don't need any of this. Don't need any of that. EnderIO, Ender Crystals, Soul Binder, Powered Spawner. That's all this stuff down here. First thing we need for that is the Slice and Splice. And then we're going to need to get into Binding Souls, which is going to require an empty soul vial, energized bimetal, Z logic controller. I think Solarium we may have, but let's pin it anyways. And then we want to get into the Staff of Traveling, which takes an Ender Crystal, which is part of the reason we're going down this rabbit hole. So we're going to need a spot for all this, and I haven't decorated the house, so maybe we'll do it up here, or I think there might still be room over here. So yeah, there's probably still room, and I'm calling this place the warehouse, by the way. That's just what I've started calling it. So yeah, let's get into this. So the slice and splice, we're going to need an ensouled chassis. So since these machines are all going to be based around that, why don't we go ahead and recipe that up? So we can tell it how to make it, and then we can tell it how to make soul chains. And then we need quartz dust, which comes from the pulverizer. Why don't we go ahead and make a recipe for that? And maybe as part of this episode, we will go ahead and automate our pulverizer here rather than just having it work on a barrel. We'll put a crafter on it and get it tied into the network. So that gets us those. We're looking at these still, so let's drill down again and check this recipe. So soul chain, what else do we need? We've got solarium ingots, but we're going to need to know how to make the nuggets. So that'll be a crafting pattern. So this is a processing pattern. These are all crafting. We're going to need a crafter. And for the pulverizer, we'll just start with a basic one. I don't think we're going to need anything crazy. And then here, solarium ingots. Do we have solarium seeds? We do. So all we need to do is teach the system how to make the solarium ingots. So right there, can make it from our essence, which it already has. We're out of patterns. Got some more made. What is that? Pulsating crystal. Is that supposed to be in here? We've already got one, so we'll just clear that one out, and then we'll toss it back in storage. Okay. So now we should be able to make this, but we're also going to need a pattern for these. And we're going to need a pattern for the nuggets, but it already knows how to make the ingots. And there we go. So now we're into this one. Fill all those up. Did our crafter finish? Make me a crafter. I thought I already told you to. Oh, it is backed up. I am working on, I told it to make us the top tier power storage because I was trying to complete some quest lines. So why don't we cancel this craft for while we're recording, and we will just kick it back off after the episode. So that should breeze through, and now we should have 2 crafters in here. And we only need 1. Okay, so grab our pulverizer. And this barrel is literally for the pulverizer anyways. So we could put the pulverizer, well, shoot. What can we do? How can we do this? Because it needs power. It needs to be over here. That's what really needs to happen. So yeah, let's move it over here where we've got our cabling for refined storage. We've got some power right here. We could just wrap this corner. Actually, to make it even more whatever, why don't we just put it facing like this? There we go. And then now we can take this cable out. And if we put this crafter there, and we grab out our wrench, we'll aim it in here. Then we're going to tell this it takes its input from the back, and we're going to tell it to output to the top. And then we just need an importer. Looks like we already have one right here on top. Then we should be able to put our pattern for the quartz dust right there. Back, top, configured, and let's see if it works. So we should be able to just slice and splice. Make me one. Presto. Now, I don't know that the quartz dust thing worked because I don't know if we had any. We did already have some, so we can test it real quick. Let's just tell it to make one. There we go. Quartz dust. Yep, it made one. Sweet. So that pattern is working, and now we have our slice and splice. Let's see. So slice and splice is a machine used to craft advanced mob heads and other components for automation. Powered by forge energy, it requires shears and axes as tools to process ingredients efficiently. Cool, it gives us shears and axes. As of now, they yet don't have lots of different uses except for the Z logic controller. Okay, so if we're not going to need to automate this, it can take that spot right there. We just need a capacitor for it. Let's see, we've got a bunch of the tier 2s. What are these things? Insatiable Wonder, energy capacity, base modifier 3 times as fast. Sure, that one's over 3 times as fast. Cool, let's try that one. Sweet. And then it wants axe and shears. And so now we should be good to, once you get your hands on a Z logic controller, you can create the soul binder. Okay, so we need to make this thing. So all we need for that is a zombie head, which we can make once we make a skull, but we don't have skeleton essence, and we need mob heads. We need skeleton essence to make blank skulls, or to make skeleton skull, and then we can use a skeleton skull to get a zombie skull. Is that what we were looking at? We need a zombie head. Plain and simple. Ways to get a zombie head. We have zombie hearts. We need a skeleton skull, or we need zombie essence from zombie seeds. What does it take to make a zombie seed? Zombie jars. We get half a thing per rotten flesh. So, and it takes 10. So we need 20, 40, 60, 80 rotten flesh. Do we have 80 rotten flesh? We do. Cool. All right, let's do that then real quick. So in our soul extractor, we're going to put in the rotten flesh. We need 4 soul jars. You guys have seen this process right here, so I'm going to craft up the 4 soul jars. I'm going to get our zombie seed going and in the farm, and I'll be right back with you. Alrighty, crafted up 3 seeds, actually. We were just about out of soulium, but I caught it when I had 4 left, and that was all that was required to make our soulium seed. So we made that. We made our zombie seed, and while we were there making mob seeds, we went ahead and made a skeleton seed too. Now, in theory, we should hopefully be able to craft up our zombie head. Presto! Nice. Okay, that means that all the other requirements for our Z logic controller, I should be able to just, add them to the grid, pull them out here, and now we should be able to go over to the slice and splice and make our zombie logic controller. Nice. It does use some durability on those. I don't know how many of these you'll need in your world, but worth noting, your machine isn't working. Make sure you've got your iron, your axe and your shears in the machine for it to run. So we needed that to get into binding souls. So in order to make the soul binder, it looks like everything except that empty soul vial we already have a pattern for. So why don't we just put a pattern in for the soul vial? And it looked like we didn't have a pattern for fused quartz. So how do we get fused quartz again? Quartz through the alloy smelter. And how do we have quartz? We have it in seed form, nether quartz, and then what? So what are our recipes? We can craft it straight into nether quartz. So we'll want to do the recipe that uses nether quartz and not the blocks because we don't have any compacting drawers. And then we're going to need to automate the alloy smelter. So yeah, let's get this barrel out of here We'll leave it there for the sag mill, but I wanted to take it out just for the time being for that. So let's put the barrel back for the sag mill. And then we're going to automate another one of these. So we did make a second crafter, which if we pull our crafter out, we can actually just put it right here instead of this piece of cable. And we'll grab out a wrench. And then we'll put our alloy smelter right there. We're going to need to get it a little bit of power. So we can grab some energy conduit and just come on up. Okay. And then this should be, we don't need that there. This should be set to insert. And then this one is always active, insert, exert, it doesn't matter. This should not be doing anything on that one. Actually, this one should also not be doing anything on that face. So now, alloy smelters here, pattern provider there, or crafter, sorry, and then we want to make a recipe for fused quartz, and we're going to tell it that it can use nether quartz, and this is where it'll do it. Last thing we're going to need is we're going to need an importer for it to import back into the system, and we're going to tell it for its configuration that the top is no longer either, and that the back is going to be input, so pull, and then we need an importer. Do we not? There we go. It's like, do we not know how to make a basic importer? There we go. All right, there's our importer, and we are going to put it on which face? I guess the top. There we go. And then we can tell it that the top is an output. So top, push. Okay. So now if we were to tell the system to make fused quartz glass, or actually we should be able to just tell it to make a soul vial, right? So soul vial, we didn't put the pattern in. Put the pattern in, will they? So there's the soul vial pattern. And then now soul vial, craft, start. If we go over here, it's already done with it, isn't it? Yep. But we didn't have any fused glass to my knowledge. Let's see, fused quartz. Oh, we did have some. So let's take this out and let's make sure this works. 10. Nope. See, it's making silicone. Interesting. So it has to go in batches of 4. How are we going to automate that? Maybe that recipe is not valid, so let's make some blocks and see if it does it with blocks. Okay, it works with blocks. So let's change our recipe up and teach the system how to make blocks. So if we put that back in there, and then we tell it that no, you don't use nether quartz, you use blocks. So quartz block. Okay. Alternatives. Cancel. There we go. So 1 quartz block gets you 1 fused quartz. Okay. So now we put you in there and we tell the system fused quartz. Let's take this out again and tell it just to make 2. See how it goes. Sweet. So the system knows how to make blocks of quartz already, I guess. It does. Awesome. All right, so that's working. A little bit of troubleshooting there with you guys, and it's pulling them back into the system successfully. So now we should be able to request multiple soul vials. So if we were to just tell it to make us 10, it should have no problems making all of them. I'm guessing it had to smelt something for the last one. well, we have the 10 we need, so we'll troubleshoot that later. If I figure out that something was wrong, I'll let you know, but I did manually pull some stuff out of the furnace, so maybe I broke it. Now, these soul vials, if I understand them correctly, I just right-click a mob and it stores it. So we need Enderman, and conveniently, I have no idea why. There are tons of Endermen right here by our base on this cliffside. I don't know how they have accumulated here or why they have accumulated here, but I'm kind of thankful because they're really the ones we need a ton of for ender crystals. So they're just like that. We were easily able to collect 10 of these Endermen. Now, in your world, if you aren't so lucky as to just have a bunch of them spawn on the cliff by your base for no good reason, that's one of the reasons we wanted to go down this road, because we're going to be able to use these vials to change mobs in the powered spawner from EnderIO as well, which was another thing I wanted to get into. So, binding souls. Once you get a Z-Logic controller, you can create a soul binder. Its machine's most important task is to infuse soul vials into broken spawners to change the mob they have stored within. Another very fun way to use soul binders is creating tokens. That can be combined with either clear glass or fused quartz glass, making said blocks non-solid to the target written in the token. Oh, that's interesting. So you could make glass that your buddy can't walk through, or only you or your buddy or mobs, for example, could walk through. That's kind of cool. All right, let's get our soul binder going. We have it pinned. So the soul binder, we're going to need one more empty thing. So soul binder, did we put a recipe in? Nope, we didn't. But we probably don't need a recipe for it. So there we go. Soul binder, done. Oh, it'll be so nice to have travel staff again. So here we go. Let's put that down there. It's going to need a capacitor, and it's already set to receive power. So let's see. Cap. What do we have? Base modifier 1, base modifier 2.91. So we could just do a uses on this tier 2 and make a tier 3 to get a base modifier of 3 for it. So now it can accept power. And then all we should need, powered spawner. Bind a soul to the item to be able to use it. Okay, so I think we just need a broken spawner of any kind, which we should have a bunch in our storage. Skeleton druid, zombie, blaze, endermite. We want to keep silverfish. No one has a real use for silverfish at all. So we're going to put in a broken spawner silverfish and a soul vial, and it says it takes 8 levels. Now that's where I wonder if we can just have our 8 levels on us. Let's pull out 8 levels and see if it lets us insert them, or if we're going to have to work with we're going to have to work with that wand we made, the extra one. Where is it? At Ender. Alrighty. Here we go. This thing, the experience rod. So how do I use it? So there's 8 levels, and now if I, shift right click it on the machine, it puts our 8 levels in, and it's crafting up our powered spawner. This should be a powered Enderman spawner. Now, I don't know how they work. We're going to figure it out. But while we're waiting, why don't we take a look at the other side of this? This one's one I'm really excited about. Staff of Traveling. We're going to need an ender crystal, which we get by soul binding a vibrant crystal with an enderman. So we've got to wait on this machine to finish anyways, and it costs 6 levels. So let's go ahead and get our vibrant crystal, which I think the system knows how to make. Okay. And we need 6 levels. 6. We could go ahead and put that in there. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. We'll put this in our backpack Tell the system it can eat it, I guess. Or tell the backpack it can eat them, because I don't know what to do with it otherwise. And now we have a broken spawner Enderman and an empty soul vial. So how do we make it into a powered spawner? With an ensouled chassis, 2 vibrant crystals, another Z-Logic controller, and some solarium ingots. Okay, so let me get the rest of those ingredients together, but we just changed what that spawner is, and let's make that powered spawner. All right, made everything you'd already seen us make together, and I just accidentally made a Vex spawner. No way. Can I put it in here with an Enderman? Yes, okay. That is annoying. So, yeah, it sort of, oh, it needs more. Okay. There we go. We're going to have to wait this out. Again, I'll be right back. I used the wrong broken spawner when I made the powered spawner. Oopsie. All right, so now we've got our vibrant crystal. Gonna combine it with an Enderman in a soul jar to make an ender crystal. So one more again. I did put some extra levels in here so that we would have enough to make 2, because I think we needed ender crystals for something else too, but I can't remember what it was right off the top of my head. But these ender crystals are for the Staff of Traveling, which I am super excited about. So it just takes some dark steel and an ender crystal, and this thing's going to need power. And then the way these work that I want to use them for is if we make travel anchors like this. What was that in the middle? Pulsating crystal. So we need one more of those. So if we make these travel anchors, I can take this travel anchor and I can put it right here, for example. Oh God, I'm hang gliding in my basement. I need to take that thing off. It's not like I need it. So let's just do that now, because it's actually been annoying here recently. So we will just toss that in a backpack for a rainy day. But we're going to take a travel anchor and we're going to put it right here. And then we're going to name this warehouse. We're going to hit enter. And if you're far enough away, I could teleport to the warehouse. Now, I do believe that these are maskable somehow. Let's see. If I were to put this in there, visible, hidden. There we go. No, I don't know how. I think they're maskable. These may not be. I'm not real sure. But so now, we're always running back and forth from the main house. So if we were to put another one here, and we can call this house. Now we should be able to, when holding our staff, if we can look at them, we can go back and forth in one click. Now, the Staff of Traveling will also just, if you hold shift, it'll teleport you a short distance in any direction. Does require power, but we have wireless power thanks to Flux. Oh my goodness. This makes such a huge difference in mobility. For those of you who watched my FTB Skies Expert Pack, we used a different mod that was just the staffs. I think it was called Travel Staffs, but it was a port of the EnderIO stuff from the way I understand it. I'm so excited about that. Now, powered spawner. Why did we make this thing? Well, if in your world, you're having struggles with getting Enderman, and let's say you're playing the non-community edition version of the pack, so you don't have mystical agriculture, this powered spawner, with just a little bit of a flux point from, your Flux Networks, which is a part of that other pack, we can power this thing up. And then we need a capacitor. And I have no idea how it works. Oh, it works just like that. It just spawns Enderman. I guess once it fills up on power every so often, let's see. Yeah, there you go, just like that. Now, I do believe it can be redstone controlled, so lever, if we were to grab out a lever here. And you could use this in conjunction with a bunch of things. So let's see, redstone, always active without signal. So while it's on, that's gonna turn it off. And now we have a bunch of Endermen that we can kill for Enderman drops. You could set this up in any kind of farm. There are, in the pack for non-community edition folks and community edition folks alike, there is Industrial Foregoing, which has some tools for killing mobs. I do believe EnderIO may have something, but don't quote me on that because I am not familiar with EnderIO. But now we have plenty of Endermen for killing. We have plenty of Endermen for getting souls from. Whatever we need, we can just turn on our powered Enderman spawner. And you can do this for any mob, essentially. So if you need cows, for example, you can make a powered cow spawner and have it just sit there and make you cows, however you wanted to use it. So with that, that was a solid half hour of me figuring out some EnderIO stuff and sharing some updates about the base with you guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I enjoyed this episode a lot. I really love these kind of episodes. They are a lot of fun for me. I like learning new stuff and playing with things that I haven't played with before in the mod pack. So it was nice that we had a little quest to guide us through it. And we get some extra quest rewards here. Oh, look at that. It gives us some ender seeds. Let's see. A common mistake is using the wrong soul vial when binding a spawner. This quest will allow you to retrieve the items used to create the spawner so that you can try again. Oh, so we could have given it our powered spawner, but we figured out that if you just put another soul vial in there with it, it'll change it for us. So we didn't have to uncraft it and recraft it. We were able to just stick it into the machine. Now, we did have to make another Z logic controller, right? No, we didn't. So anyways, you can do it that way with the quest, turn it in, and it'll give you the parts, or you can just, run it through again with the right vial. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. And let's see, this will be Friday's video. So I hope to see you guys in the stream on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Mountain, 8 a.m. Eastern. We're playing Ocean Block 2 over there. We had a guest last week, had to cut the stream short for finishing up a tattoo. If you want to see it, hop over to my Discord. It's all there. But thanks again, and we'll see y'all next time.